Now that we have a good understanding of what a queue is, we are going to implement our own queue. For this implementation, we are going to use the linked list collection. So we need to bring that into scope using standard collections linked list. So now we have our linked list brought into scope. We can create our queue struct, which we're going to do over type T, and we are going to have our element of a linked list also of type T. So now that we have our struct created, we can implement methods on our queue, with the first one being our new method, which is going to return a queue of type T. And inside of here we have our queue struct, which is going to have our element, which is going to be a new linked list. So now that we have our queue created with our linked list that is going to store our elements, we can now start putting elements into our queue. But remember, a queue is FIFO, first in, first out. So we need to keep that in mind when we are pushing and popping values into and out of the queue. So our first function is going to be called onQueue, and what we're going to have is a mutable self with a parameter of a value of type T. And this is how we're going to push values into the queue. So with it being first in, first out, when we push a value in, we need to push it technically to the back. So since we are using the linked list from the collections, we have a function or a method in the linked list called pushback. And pushback is going to put it at the back of the line, if you will. For Dequeue, this is going to be our pop method. Again, we're going to have a mutable self, and this time we are going to return our option with our value inside of it. So since we need to get the oldest element in the queue, we need to use the pop front method that is associated with the linked list, and this will get the value at the front of the queue, so the oldest value. Now we want to implement our peek method, and peek, since it's just going to return a reference, we can return an option that is returning a reference to the value, and we will say self.element.front. And front is a method with the linked list that allows us to get a reference returned to the value at the front of the linked list. So now we're going to implement our length method, and this is going to return a uSize, and then here we just want to get the length of our linked list, so we can return our length method. And then lastly, we want to implement isEmpty, and this is going to return a Boolean, and if our elements is empty, aka is our linked list empty, if it is, then we will return true, otherwise we return false. So it's a very simple way of implementing a queue using a linked list from the collections library. But now I want you to take some time to create the test cases for this, and this will be our assignment for this section. And then in our next lecture we will go over my test cases to ensure that our queue is functioning properly.